I'm in India, North India, in the Himalaya, very close to Bir Billing, a very famous place for paragliding. And I just came back from my first Vol Biv experience. With my friend Eric, we did about 500 kilometers in 2 weeks, exploring the region, and we had an amazing experience. And instead making the classic video documenting our trip and showing you how amazing it was, I felt like I wanted to do something a little bit more practical and useful, to share the preparation phase of our trip, the gear we use, and some tips that can be useful for anyone wanted to go into a similar adventure. So my first piece of advice, especially if it's your first experience, is to put all the focus on having fun. In the preparation phase of our adventure, we talked to many people who have experience with this type of flying, and I felt like very often they were putting too much focus into performance, and the story they told us was a lot about overcoming struggle, about being disappointed because the conditions were not going the way they were expecting. And with that in mind, it felt like very important for us to put most of the focus on having fun. We didn't come here with the motivation to break record or getting selected to the X-Alp. It was not a race, it was not a competition. We just wanted to enjoy the mountain and build experience and knowledge. So in my opinion, you don't really need to be a very good technical cross-country flyer. I don't feel like I'm a good cross-country flyer, but I think you need to be ninja at takeoff and landing. I was pretty surprised how clumsy I felt on takeoff with all the extra weight in my harness. And when it comes to top landing, I've been lucky so far and did only clean top landing, but this is some of the critical moments where shit can happen. I never forced a landing during the trip. Sometimes I present myself several times in final before actually landing, or I even completely bail on a location because I felt it was too turbulent, and only commit to the landing when everything felt perfect. Ultimately, I feel like the most important skill is decision making. If you're good at making decisions, you don't get carried away, you don't force anything, you just really listen to yourself and to the condition. That's something that's gonna protect yourself and avoid the disaster. So despite the apparent facility of the location and all the positive stuff everyone's gonna tell you about this place, like this is the Himalaya, the conditions can be pretty gentle here, like there is not much wind. It's pretty mellow to fly here until it's not. Just a few days ago, someone got stuck into a cumulonimbus. We experienced incredibly strong katabatic wind in the area of Manali. It was more than 100 kilometers gusts, rather regular day. We literally took off a couple of hours later. I think it's good to come with a very humble mindset, because if not, you're gonna get humbled by the condition or by the landscape. You're gonna fly over some valley where it's gonna take multiple days to walk out if you bomb out. Some valleys are a nightmare of invisible power line. One of the scariest situations on the trip was to find out that we would land into a pretty narrow valley, and it was a complete maze of invisible power line. And when you come to the rescue, this is not the Alps. Don't expect a rescue team to come help you. Unfortunately, there's been some fatalities. There's been many broken back. I heard about someone getting stuck more than 3 days with a broken back on a super classic top landing, not even 10 kilometers away from the main takeoff. So again, you need to take responsibility for yourself. As soon as you're gonna be a little bit out, you're on your own. So you should be able to self-rescue for small incidents, and you should prevent any situation where a big accident can happen. Should you go alone or with a friend? Each configuration gonna come with its own set of challenges, so just make sure you choose the challenges that gonna suit your personality best and your flying skills, because this is gonna have a great influence into the quality of your trip. Another thing that's definitely not fun is long hikes with a too heavy backpack. We really put a lot of effort to always land in altitude into a takeoff in order to start flying the next day without walking. We had a pretty good success rate, besides a couple of times where we landed down. And in this case, we didn't shy away from taking a bus or asking for help from local help to bring us to a takeoff. Actually, that was a really interesting part of the adventure, because that was kind of fun to end up in this situation, and a good way to meet local people. And this brings me to navigation. The instrument I chose to bring with me was the Ultra Beep from Stodeus, in combination with a smartphone and the CU Navigator app. I had a compass as a backup. So in the configuration of getting stuck into a cloud with a lot of wind, the GPS might get confused and not give you the proper cap. And the old school compass is gonna be the best instrument to help you find your way out. So the Studios Ultra Bip was, in my opinion, the best instrument for the job. It's so small and minimal and lightweight, but you get all the information you need on your smartphone. It's solar powered, so you never have to worry about an empty battery. Additionally, I bought a Garmin InReach. So the InReach is a GPS device that allows you to communicate through satellite in places where there is no phone coverage. It can be your only way to call a rescue team in case of accident, but also simply communicate with your partner during the flight, but also your close one to say everything is okay, which is my favorite way to use the InReach. About the canopy, I choose to fly the Savage from Super. So it's definitely not the most performance canopy, but it gives me a lot of safety margins, very easy to fly with. I never ever get scared about the condition or about the glider. It gave me a lot of peace of mind. So it's a pretty classic advice, but again, choosing a canopy that's very comfortable for your skill level is gonna improve the quality of flying and increase your safety. About the harness, I use the Colibri from Cortel Design. This model has been proven by the test of time. So many people use it in the past for successful flight. I really love this harness. It has plenty of storage room and it got a really good compromise between lightweight and durability. I will be a little bit afraid to go on a very long trip with an ultra lightweight harness because there's a big chance that you're gonna damage it during the trip. And here is how I like to pack it. So let me show you. I always put my sleeping bag into a waterproof bag. I really want to make sure my sleeping bag is gonna be dry regardless what happens during the day. And I put it into the back protection compartment. Since the sleeping bag is into a dry bag, it collects quite much air, and I believe it's a pretty good back protection. Then under the legs, I'm gonna put some heavy stuff such as the food and the water, my gas stove. I also like to use a small lightweight stash bag, so that's helped me to pack my stuff in the harness, but also really useful if I need to go fetch water or go down somewhere to grab some food. Then everything else goes in my bag, which is the tent, clothes I bring, and some of the other items I'm gonna talk about now. So for water, I bring a 1 liter filtration system. It's the Catadin B3. It's really essential. We could not have done the trip without it. And on top of that, I have a 4 liter soft pouch. We've been flying most of the time with 5 liters with us to make sure that we could land multiple times in a row in altitude without having to fetch water. For food, it's been pretty simple. Like as always, I bring my favorite dry freeze food with me, which is the real tourmat from Drytech. I've been doing many trips longer than 2 weeks eating that every day, and for me it works very well. On top of that, I brought a lot of nuts and dry fruit. For breakfast, I've been using something called tsampa, which is a local traditional Tibetan food. It's basically a roasted barley flour that you mix with water, and I've been mixing it with dry fruit to make a porridge in the morning. Really cheap, very easy to find here, and super nutritious. I brought with me a very minimal cooking system. Eric was a little bit more fancy and brought a jet boil. They are both amazing system. I reckon the jet boil is consuming less fuel. My tent, I love my tent. My tent is a teepee, and it's a teepee from Mountain Laurel Design. Teepees are great, a lot of living space. Very easy to set up. Let's say it starts to rain. You can basically put the tarp over your gear, and in no time have the tent set up while all your gear was protected. Really like this concept. The only downside is you need soft ground in order to anchor the tent, and we ended up spending a lot of time in my tent just due to the extra living space. This is my sleep system, lightweight sleeping bag for my glove. The waterproof bag that I use to pack the sleeping bag is my pillow, and I use the Neo Air Thermarest as a mattress. The air mattress is, in my opinion, the most important piece of equipment for your sleeping system. The better the mattress is, the less warm the sleeping bags need to be. If you have a good insulation from the ground, you're most likely never gonna be cold, especially because you can always use the canopy to wrap yourself, and with that it can be -10. It's no chance you're gonna be cold. Another crucial piece of equipment for this type of trip will be your solar panel. I went a little bit too big with a 36 watt solar panel. It's possible to do with less. Eric had something like a 10 watt, but he was using it in flight. For me, I was just using it when the camp was set up. I brought 2 power banks. As always, I like to have backup, and this is such a crucial piece of equipment. I brought 10,000 milliampere and a 20,000 milliampere with me. That was definitely overkill. I'd rather have too much than not enough, especially when you come to instruments or the Garmin InReach. I really want to make sure it's always fully powered. I would recommend to bring multiple power cord, again, to have backups. I broke one of my lightning cord to charge my iPhone. If I didn't have a spare one, I would have lost my instrumentation. On top of this, I had a bunch of small items, headlamp, a repair kit, of course a lighter. I bought a fire kit since we have dry freeze food. Let's say we will run out of gas or break the stove, we could have used fire to be able to eat. Another piece of equipment I really recommend is my gloves. I've been using some mittens from the Heat company. I have a first layer in fleece. You get the little pad to be able to use the screen, and there is a pocket to put chemical warmer. I have the mitten. There is a little pocket for chemical warmer. You have a zipper that allows to take your fingers out of the gloves without removing the gloves, to have dexterity when, I don't know, take off or using the instrument. Something I've been doing is open the gloves and completely slide it into my sleeve. So for takeoff or for a situation where I don't need it, when it's too warm, I basically don't have the gloves, but they're ready to be used in just like a small movement. Another piece of small equipment like this that really made a difference is the goggles I've been using. I know they look silly, and I actually took them at first because they look silly, but now I really like them. I've been using them every day, and super nice, super lightweight. You look like an alien, but they're actually really awesome to fly with. And the last bit of equipment I want to talk about, and this one might be a little bit controversial, is the backpack. All the backpacks the big brands are providing supposedly for this type of activity are, in my opinion, too small. Could not find like anything bigger than 100 or maybe 120 liters. So what I did is I took a 150 liters bag, a semi-light bag. Is not ultra light, same than the harness. I feel like that's something that can break very easily. So I wanted to have something that's gonna be solid enough, lightweight, not too lightweight, so I end up ripping off the bag, which would be a disaster. Your bag is ripped off, how do you go around? That doesn't work. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. I'm really motivated at the moment to keep making this how I do it video, to share my experience, and maybe to inspire you to go into your own adventure. So you know the drill. Follow, share, and subscribe. If you want to support me, that's the best thing you can do.